Hey, welcome back. Sorry about the delay. Life's hectic, winter's shit. You know how it is. For our final Simpsons Gameboy game, I'm going to talk about Bart and Lisa's favourite cat and mouse, Itchy and Scratchy, who were inspired by the obscure Italian comic strip Squeak the Mouse. The show within a show was a satire of cartoon violence and a clever commentary on censorship. Proving just how self-aware the Simpsons were, it was a way for the writers to poke fun at all that controversy they kept stirring up. I always love seeing the creative, over-the-top and sometimes disturbing ways that Itchy would kill Scratchy. There was even that classic rumour of Scratchy finally getting his own back, which Bart and Lisa hilariously missed out on. So many memories. While doing research on all these games, I was surprised to discover that Beam Software had created a unique and exclusive Itchy and Scratchy title that had completely passed me by. Presenting itself as an action platformer meets mini-golf, Itchy and Scratchy's miniature golf madness is a truly unique experience that is not without its flaws. You take control of Scratchy as he attempts to have a relaxing day out playing mini-golf, only to be locked inside the park and hunted relentlessly by Itchy.
Which one's a mouse?
Itchy.
Itchy's a jerk.
Now poor Scratchy has to play for his life, avoiding fiendish traps and obstacles while Itchy tries to end him at every turn. Talk about a bad day out. I get the feeling that Beam were inspired by the episode Dead Putting Society, which was a great nod to golf in general. The game's got some great graphics and makes strong use of the license. There's also some cool art in the manual depicting Itchy and Scratchy down under. So the visuals and presentation are solid for the humble Game Boy, but the sound... oh god, the sound...
Fuck! Shit!
You'll notice when starting the game there's a way to turn the music off, and it's one of the only options available. That's never a good sign. Sure enough, the two available tracks are repetitive and annoying. Just turn it off because it's gonna drive you insane. Chuck on some Bad Religion instead.
Despite darker tendencies, I've always had a strong bias to exist.
The start of each level has Krusty offering you one of his crazy golf tips that teach you about the game's basic mechanics. Thanks, mate. There are 9 holes to overcome, each of them being themed set pieces that parody popular culture. You got Grim Furry Tales, Pirates of the Scratchy Bean, Ice Cream of Genie and many others. The actual holes themselves are kinda like end of level bosses, some of them can even kill ya. I really love the design on these, but they are seriously challenging, so be warned. You're given 9 lives, I see what you did there, and a set number of hits with which to sink the ball, which is called a par. When you first see par 16 you think that sounds great, but then you play the game. Going 10 to 15 shots over par is a regular occurrence, making obtaining one next to impossible. The levels are huge and extremely difficult, and you're only given 2 continues with no passwords and no way to save your game, so you better make every single shot count. Scratchy controls like a simple platform character and is very basic in his moveset. He can walk left and right, jump, swing his club, and that's about it. He's fairly responsive though, making for a nice change of pace from previous games. When it comes to putting, the player must position Scratchy next to the ball and press up to assume their stance, press and hold B to charge the power bar and release it when desired. The ratio between a heavy and soft hit is a little off though, so you'll need to get used to the power meter and ball physics if you'd have any sort of chance at a par. Every stage begins with a tee-off that drops you into the game area. From this point on, Itchy will appear every now and then to attack Scratchy using all kinds of weapons, from chainsaws, axes, machetes and throwing knives, to bombs, bazookas and flamethrowers. All of these are one-hit kills, so that's great. He's relentless too, coming after you right away and spawning at the most inopportune moments.
Damn you people, this is golf! Not a rock concert!
To top that all off, he laughs when he gets ya. Don't even get me started on the game over screen. It's driving me to alcoholism.
John Dewar, you are mine.
Dramatization may not have happened.
It's actually really surprising that even with the detailed death animations, Nintendo didn't take offense to a cat beheading a mouse on the Game Boy, and that's great. It always pays to scout ahead, not just to check the lay of the land, but to kill off Itchy for safe passage, which brings us to my favourite part, the power-ups. Scratchy can find and utilise a decent array of weaponry ranging from baseball bats and machetes to razor-sharp frisbees, bombs, grenades, and my favourite, the utterly essential boomerang. Apart from the boomerang, these have limited uses, so you better make them count, because every single swing, whether it makes contact or not, uses up a hit. That's shithouse, and it makes no sense. Imagine if I had a cricket bat and after 1 or 2 swings it just vanished. Anyway, if you run out of weapons, you can try to bash Itchy to death using your golf club, or just jump over him. While you're exploring through each stage, make sure to check the walls. You'll find many secret areas that hold erasers that let you rub a single stroke off your score, and Scratchy dolls that grant an extra life. According to the manual, Itchy made these dolls to enact voodoo retribution. And did I mention the numerous traps and stage gimmicks that must be overcome? There are small tunnels that carry your ball off somewhere, cannons and seesaws that fire your ball upwards to higher platforms, trampolines, moving walls, pressure-sensitive dart guns, and heaps more. If you somehow lose your ball, it can be located using this dodgy icon in the status bar. At times, the game forces you to treat the ball like a platform character by hitting it onto small moving platforms, rebounding it off walls and hitting it up steep inclines. This can turn into a nightmare pretty quickly, and it's in these moments you'll notice that the idea of a golf and platforming hybrid falls apart. When it's kept fairly simple, it works great. When you're forced into platforming with a golf ball, it really doesn't. For example, if you hit the ball onto a platform anywhere other than dead centre, Scratchy can't line up his putt and falls off. You're forced to rebound it off nearby walls, and sometimes this just doesn't work either. Meanwhile, the hits just keep on counting up. The power ratio and ball physics really seem to be unbalanced in these moments. See why I said you gotta make every shot count? It's bloody relentless, and it's a bit frustrating. Like I said earlier, the final part of each hole is a brilliant set-piece moment that makes all that hard work worthwhile. Except that they are bloody hard as hell. The first one sets the stage for the whole game. You gotta hit the ball up this incline at just the right speed, distance and trajectory.
Which by our calculations is fucking impossible, man. Come on.
To get it up there, you gotta hit it hard. But if you hit it hard, it just rebounds straight back. In the words of James Rolfe, it's a classic bullshit gaming paradox. Look, the hits just keep counting up. I just can't do it. Where the fuck is my rum? I need it. Oh my god, it's done. Even so, look at that scorecard. Actually, that sounds about right. It's just like real life. It's the Pokemon effect. I can't stop thinking about it. Why'd you have to get me back into this game, Jake? Just for that, you gotta put everything aside to do a top 20 Game Boy games video with me. Hashtag top 20 Game Boy games. Hashtag Jake McCauley. Hashtag retribution. Anyway, the rest of the holes are just as difficult, so I doubt I'll ever beat this game under par. So on the one hand, it's an interesting concept. You won't find this sort of gameplay anywhere else. It's a unique blend of action platformer and mini golf, and it makes great use of the Simpsons license, has great level design and set piece moments, and it's really challenging. On the other hand, the two genres don't really meld as well as you'd hope, and once you're forced into real platforming, the cracks in its design begin to appear. The ball physics and power meter needed some serious balancing, and the sound is not one of Marshall Parker's greatest moments, that's for sure. It's at least functional in its mechanics, and it serves as an interesting experiment in the Game Boy's history. Not a bad game, I'd recommend it for something different. And that is it for Simpsons Game Boy games. I hope you enjoyed watching this series, and I hope to do a few more like this in the future. Up next though is a special fan-made game that I've been in love with since I found it. Castlevania The Lacard Chronicles. Try saying that real fast. La Lacard Chronicles, La Lacard Chronicles, La Lacard Chronicles.